begin with the international economics. First of all, divide this part. Generally, it is written as one part in optional, but in economic service, it is mentioned in the form of international economics and balance of payment separately. So we can divide this international economics broadly into two parts in that case. One part will be all theories of international trade. Theories of international trade. And second part will be balance of payment and foreign exchange market. Balance of payment and foreign exchange market. ठीक है, अगेन आई रिपीट, इकोनॉमिक सर्विस में दो चीज़ें अलग अलग लिखी हुई है. इंटरनेशनल इकोनॉमिक्स जहाँ सिलेबस में मेंशन है, इट टॉक्स अबाउट ऑल थियरीज एंड बैलेंस ऑफ पेमेंट मेंशन सेपरेटली. In option it is only written as international economics, but if you see the detail of that, initial part will be based upon the theories of international trade and the second part is basically based upon balance of payment and the other component. Now related to the first thing is that approach of theories of international trade is mainly micro. That means you will be using basically micro tools to explain international trade. An approach of balance of payment is basically macro. That means we can say that in trade theories are subtopic of micro and balance of payment is a subtopic of macroeconomics. So balance of payment part is mainly macroeconomics. Approach का difference है. So we can divide this international economics into two sections also. So in the initial section about I think 10 plus lectures you will be taking in order to complete the theories of international trade and another about 8 to 10 for balance of payment and the foreign exchange market. So we can do it in two different parts. So initially starting with the theories of international trade. So next heading mark the theories of international trade. Theories of international trade. Divide this again into two parts. One is old theories or you can say classical theories and second part is new trade theories. Old theories and new theories. Major difference between old and new is that when we talk about the old theories, they assume that market is perfectly competitive. All old theories assume that market is perfectly competitive. And the new theories assume that market is imperfectly competitive. Imperfect competition. So entire जितने भी old theories होंगे they will assume that market is perfectly competitive, but when you say that market is perfectly competitive, then it also implies that if I say market is competitive, then all firms are producing identical product will be homogeneous, free, interior, जितने भी feature perfect competition के वो follow होंगे. Price will be equal to the marginal cost, which is again a feature of perfect competition. But in the monopoly, price will be greater than the marginal cost. So all old theories assume that market is perfectly competitive. Now if the market is perfectly competitive, then if we talk about two different products, suppose cloth and food, so there will be many producers of the cloth, but all are producing identical cloth. Food, all firms are producing identical food. So can we have a trade of cloth for cloth in that case? because cloth producer तो सारे identical cloth produce कर रहे हैं. So that type of trade is not possible in old theories. Old theories will highlight home countries exporting cloth, importing food. It is inter-industry trade. Old theories will explain what? Inter-industry trade. That means economy is exporting cloth in exchange for food. But when we talk about the new trade theories, so if we talk about the new trade theories are based upon imperfect competition, like monopolistic competition hai. But what is the most important property of monopolistic competition market? Firms produce differentiated product. So if they produce differentiated product, so there will be a cloth producer in the home country, but they are not producing same cloth, they are producing different cloth. In foreign country also there will be a cloth industry, but in that market also there are different firms producing different cloth. So now what is the other possibility? Possibility that home country can export cloth as well as import cloth. It is cloth for cloth. That is called as intra-industry trade. So intra-industry trade will be highlighted by new trade theories. Inter-industry trade will be highlighted by old theories. Old theories will explain basically the inter-industry trade, and new trade theories will add, apart from inter-industry, we will add intra-industry trade as well. So just keep a difference between old and new, old theories and the new theories, because some questions are specifically there, like you can see this ये टॉपिक वाइज क्वेश्चन आपको पोर्टल पे मिल जाएगा. इन द इनिशियल पार्ट इज लाइक वन क्वेश्चन वाज What are the features based upon which new trade theories are built that are distinctly different from old theories? So not naming any particular theory, it is clubbing all old theories and comparing it with the new theories. So what are the important features on which new trade theories are built, and they are distinctly different from the old theories. So once you will be done with the old theories and all new theories, then you can answer this question in a better way. कि old theories में कौन कौन से theories आ गए, new theories में कौन कौन से theories features आते. Now initial part will be on old. So now you can make this old theories. Just make a list of old theories. We'll start with a Ricardian model. It is Ricardian comparative cost advantage model. So Ricardo is a classical economics. So classical concept is there. This Ricardian model is a 2 by 2 by 1 model. 2 by 2 by 1 means two countries, home and foreign, producing two products, cloth and food, by using only one factor of production, that is labor. So two countries producing two products by using one factor of production. You can call a home country and foreign country producing cloth and food by using only labor. Home and foreign country producing cloth and food by using only one factor of production, that is labor. Then after that next will be HO model, Heckscher-Ohlin model. That Heckscher-Ohlin model is a 2 by 2 by 2 model. So trade between two countries producing two products by using two factor production. We will have one factor labor, other factor capital. Labor and capital. See, the main idea of a Ricardian model will be that a country will specialize in that line of production in which it has comparative cost advantage. And what is the meaning of that comparative cost advantage, we have to explain. But introduction में रखेंगे comparative cost advantage means a country will have comparative cost advantage in that line of production in which opportunity cost of producing that good is lower as compared to the other country. That means we will calculate opportunity cost for cloth. जिस कंट्री में कॉस्ट क्लॉथ प्रोड्यूस करने का अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट कम होगा, दैट कंट्री विल हैव कंपैरेटिव कॉस्ट एडवांटेज. बट व्हाट इज कंपैरेटिव एंड हाउ इट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द एब्सोल्यूट कॉस्ट एडवांटेज? एब्सोल्यूट कॉस्ट एडवांटेज गिवन बाय एडम स्मिथ. तो रिकार्डन मॉडल बेसिकली इंप्रूव्स अपॉन दैट एडम स्मिथ आर्गुमेंट. तो देन व्हाट इज द ड्रॉबैक ऑफ दिस एंड हाउ इट हैज बीन ओवरकम्ड इन द HO model? HO model will basically say that that country will have comparative cost advantage which uses its abundant factor intensively. Like home country has labor and capital, but home country may have more of labor and less of capital. If more of labor and less of capital means home country is labor rich, labor abundant. So if home country is labor abundant and cloth is labor intensive good, labor intensive means to produce cloth you are using more labor relative to capital. So if home country is labor abundant and cloth is labor intensive, in that case home country will have cost advantage in producing that product. जिस जो फैक्टर इकॉनमी में अबंडेंट है, उस अबंडेंट फैक्टर को जहां हम इंटेंसिवली यूज करते हैं उस प्रोडक्ट में हमारा कंपैरेटिव एडवांटेज होगा. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल इंडिया इज अबंडेंट विथ लेबर. Labor is used intensively in the production of textile. Then in textile India will have comparative cost advantage. So idea is basically that. But there are many sub part within that HO model. There are many correlates. Third model, after that we will be discussing the specific factor model. A specific factor model. ठीक है, this specific factor model is 2 by 2 by 3 model. So we start with 1 factor, then 2 factor, then 3 factor. Labor, land, capital. Suppose we have a labor, other factor land and capital. Now why it is called specific is the reason is in order to produce cloth, again the economy is producing 2 products but there are 3 factor production. To produce cloth economy require labor and capital say, and to produce food you are using labor and land को T से denote किया. There are 3 factor production. Labor is common to both. तो लेबर कॉमन टू बोथ हो गया. दैट मीन्स लेबर कैन मूव फ्रॉम क्लॉथ टू फूड, बट कैपिटल इज स्पेसिफिक फॉर क्लॉथ एंड लैंड इज स्पेसिफिक फॉर फूड. दैट मीन्स द स्पेसिफिक फैक्टर कैन नॉट मूव, वो मूव नहीं कर सकते. कैपिटल इज स्पेसिफिक हियर, लैंड इज स्पेसिफिक हियर. और यहाँ पे इंटरप्रिटेशन क्या होगा? क्लॉथ और फूड प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए लेबर कैपिटल दोनों है. But labor can also move from one industry to other, capital can also move from one to the other. But specific में only one factor is variable, others are specific or fixed to that industry. So what is the implication of that? So third model will be this. Then fourth is a standard trade model. A standard trade model. Standard trade model. That standard trade model is again using the assumption of HO model. It will be 2 by 2 by 2. It will be 2 by 2 by 2. Standard trade model. This standard trade model will explain trade by using the tool of relative supply and relative demand. Just write down this part. Standard trade model will be explained by using the concept of relative supply and relative demand. Relative supply and relative demand. So what is relative here? What is relative demand? Generally when you draw the demand curve you write price and quantity on the axis, but I am saying relative demand. So if you draw the demand curve for any particular product, if I write here price of cloth and quantity of cloth, and the demand curve is positioned here, instead of that if I write relative price, price of cloth upon price of food, and relative quantity means quantity of cloth upon quantity of food, if I plot that ratio, then that will be referred as relative demand. So how to derive the relative demand, relative supply, and how to explain the international trade by using RS and RD. So primarily there are 4 parts in the old theories. ठीक है, यार देखिएगा 2 अलग theories है, old and new. Within old we are making 4 different, starting from Ricardian model, HO model, specific factor model, and standard rate model. And these are basically different chapters. The book that you are referring either Paul Krugman or Salvatore, but ये सारे अलग अलग chapters हैं. Separate chapter Ricardian model, separate chapter HO model, separate chapter specific factor model, and standard rate model. So first we will be starting or doing with this Ricardian part, then we move to HO model, then specific, and then standard rate model. And then, but remember, all are part of what is common for all? Perfect competition assumption. That means in all old theories we explain only which type of trade? Intra-industry trade, not inter-industry trade, not intra-industry. We will be explaining only inter-industry trade, cloth for food or food for cloth. Inter-industry trade will be highlighted here. When we cover the new trade theories, that new trade theories will add on the intra-industry part also, but that will be based upon imperfect competition and product differentiation part. So generally in any book you start reading from the Ricardian model, but a question in 2016 was, in this compulsory question, write a short note on gravity model of trade. और जनरली स्टूडेंट शेयर मिस से करके, बिकॉज ये कंटेंट इंट्रोडक्शन वाले चैप्टर के अंदर गिवन है. बुक के जो इंट्रोडक्टरी चैप्टर होता है वहाँ से बिगिन ना करके आप मेन चैप्टर से स्टार्ट करते हो. इंट्रोडक्टरी चैप्टर के अंदर ये गिवन है, व्हाट इज द ग्रेविटी मॉडल ऑफ ट्रेड. तो विल स्टार्ट विद द ग्रेविटी मॉडल and then the Ricardian model, then HO model, then specific, and then standard trade model. So what is the main idea of the gravity model of trade? We will explain this part. So your first heading is gravity model. Gravity model of trade. Okay, gravity model main argument is that if we explain the volume of trade between 2 different countries, that is ट्रेड का वॉल्यूम ले रहे हैं फॉर कंट्री आई एंड कंट्री जे. सो द ट्रेड वॉल्यूम बिटवीन 2 countries depend upon the size of their economies, and it also depend upon the distance between the economies. Greater will be the size, greater will be the trade. Greater will be the distance, less will be the trade. Why trade between China or US will be more? Why trade between India or China is more? Why the volume of trade is more? Volume of trade is more because they are large economies. Large economy means more GDP. More GDP indicate more income. More income indicate more spending. More spending means more spending not only on domestic goods but also on foreign goods. So that will be the main reason for more trade. So trade between 2 economies depend upon size of their economies, which is determined by the GDP, and distance between the economies. So symbolically आप जब explain करते हैं, then it is a GDP of country I multiplied by GDP of country J upon distance between country I and country J. मतलब ट्रेड का जो वॉल्यूम होगा बिटवीन कंट्री आई एंड कंट्री जे विल बी प्रोपोर्शनल टू द जीडीपी एंड इनवर्सली रिलेटेड विद द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन द इकोनॉमीज. तो नेचुरली अगर डिस्टेंस बिटवीन द इकोनॉमीज अगर कम है देन देयर विल बी लेसर ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉस्ट, लोअर कॉस्ट ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन, देयर विल बी मोर ऑफ ट्रेड, and greater will be the size of economy, naturally there will be more of trade. So first explain this idea, gravity model of trade. Right, done. Gravity model of trade relates, gravity model of trade relates gravity model of trade relates trade between any two countries, trade between any two countries to the size of their economies, to the size of their economies, and also with distance between two economies, also with distance between two economies, distance between two economies. Underline that. The gravity model of trade relates trade between any two countries to the size of their economies and also with the distance between two economies. So there is strong empirical evidence. There is strong empirical evidence. There is strong empirical evidence. There is strong empirical evidence to support this idea. Strong empirical evidence to support this idea. मतलब जो रियल लाइफ डेटा है वो सपोर्ट करता है इस आइडिया को कि दो इकोनॉमीज लार्ज हैं उनके बीच ट्रेड ज़्यादा होते हैं. द एम्पेरिकल रिलेशन बिटवीन size of country's economy, empirical relation between size of country's economy, and value of both its export and import, has been highlighted by this theory. Next paragraph. Looking at world trade as a whole. Economists have found an equation. That predicts the value of trade between two countries more accurately. Value of trade between two countries more accurately. Write down this equation. Trade value between country I and country J. A is constant, yi yj upon distance between country I and J. Below that, therefore, keeping other things constant, value of trade between two countries value of trade between two countries is proportional to product of two countries GDP, proportional to two countries GDP, and it diminishes with distance between countries. It diminishes with distance between countries. So the above equation is known as gravity model of trade. Is known as gravity model of trade. The reason for gravity model is similar to or analogous to Newton's law of gravity. Similar to Newton's law of gravity. So just as gravitational attraction between any two object is proportional to product of their mass, is proportional to the product of their mass, and it diminishes with distance, proportional to the product of their mass, and it diminishes with distance. Similarly, trade between two countries is proportional to product of their GDP, and it diminishes with their distance. Product of their GDP and it diminishes with their distance. Just you have to relate how it is related to the gravitational law. Now explain the reasoning behind it. Next paragraph. The reasoning is that with higher GDP, there will be more income. With higher GDP, there will be more income. And with more income, there will be more spending. With more income, there will be more spending. With more income, there will be more spending. Full stop. In an open economy, spending is also on foreign produced goods. Therefore, with higher GDP, there will be greater demand for import. With higher GDP, there will be greater demand for import. ठीक है, सपोर्ट करने के लिए आपके पास बहुत सारे एग्जांपल है. ट्रेड वॉल्यूम बिटवीन इंडिया, चाइना, यूएस एंड सो ऑन. ऑन द अदर एंड, with more distance, there will be greater transportation cost. With more distance, there will be greater transportation cost. There will be greater transportation cost. As a result, there will be less trade. There will be less trade. There will be less trade. Next paragraph. This model has implications for emergence of regional blocks. Emergence of regional blocks which support the idea that value of trade increases. As distance between two countries decreases. So there is empirical support for gravity model. There is empirical support for gravity model. Now if I ask what is the main drawback of this description, gravity model say that trade volume between two countries depend upon the size of GDP and it all diminishes with the distance. But what it fails to explain exactly? One country GDP is higher, other country GDP is higher. So there will be more trade, but which type of product will be exported? We are more interested in knowing that. Okay, US and China is trading, but which type of product US is exporting to China? Which type of product China is exporting to? That reasoning cannot be explained by using gravity model. For that purpose we need a Ricardian model, for that purpose we need HO model. So it fails to explain basically that part. What determines the pattern of trade? Which product will be exported, which product will be imported? So write down the next paragraph. However, trade is also determined by some other factors. Trade is also determined by some other factors which are not covered in gravity model. So in addition, it does not explain the reasoning behind trade. In terms of comparative advantage. Clear? So this was a compulsory question for 10 marks. About 100-150 words you have to write. So just you have to write the short note on the gravity model of the trade. Now come to the major topics of trade, which is starting with the Ricardian model. Next studying this now. A Ricardian model of trade. और comparative cost advantage theory. Comparative cost advantage theory. See this model, I said it is 2 by 2 by 1 model. So we explain trade between home and foreign country. Producing two product. Suppose it is cheese and wine. एग्जाम्पल में वही ले रहा हूँ जो पॉल क्रोगमैन में, अगर आप इसे कंटेंट को सैल्वाडोर में पढ़ते हैं तो वहाँ मेंशन है नेशन 1, नेशन 2, good 1, good 2, but better to relate with some example. So home country and foreign country producing cheese and wine by using one factor of production, that is labor. Labor is the single factor of production. ठीक है, before trade just some basic points. Just focus on one country case first, home country. So if I talk about the home country, then home country has only one factor of production. ठीक है, अभी trade की बात नहीं हो रही है. Home country has only one factor of production, that is labor. So if I say that total labor hour is 2400, 2400 labor hour is available. That labor can be used in order to produce cheese and in order to produce wine. So it is quantity of cheese and this is quantity of wine. So how much quantity of cheese can be produced in that 2400 hour? Home country has 2400 hour of labor endowment. So in that 2400 hour, how many quantity of cheese can be produced? That depends upon what? That will depend upon productivity of labor. Labor की productivity के ऊपर depend करता है वो. If labor is more productive, it can produce more quantity. Labor is less productive, it will produce less quantity. So I am writing this ALC. You write it properly. It is unit labor requirement to produce cheese in home country. Unit labor requirement to produce cheese in home country. Labor is 2400 hour and ALC is unit labor requirement to produce cheese in home country. Unit labor requirement to produce cheese in home country. Unit labor requirement to produce cheese in home country. Now if I say that this is a 4R, so how to interpret this number? What is 4R now? ALC is unit labor requirement. I said unit labor requirement to produce cheese in home country is 4 hours, which means it will take 4 hours to produce 1 unit of cheese in home country. So if it takes 4 hours to produce 1 unit, then in 2400 hours you can produce. तो ये point आप यहाँ पे mention करेंगे. Maximum quantity of cheese that can be produced is equal to what? 2400 upon 4. नंबर के टर्म में भी आप लिख सकते हो या अदरवाइज जनरल टर्म में L अपॉन ALC, वट एवर बी द नंबर. 2400 अपॉन 4 वो नंबर आपने वहाँ 600 लिख दिया. सेकेंड टर्म इज ALW. So what is ALW? Similarly, unit labor requirement to produce wine in home country. Unit labor requirement to produce wine in home country. ALW is unit labor requirement to produce wine in home country. Unit labor requirement to produce wine in home country. So if that number is 6 hour, it means it will take 6 hours to produce 1 unit of wine in the home country. So with a 2400 hour, you can produce maximum 400 units. So that will be L upon ALW. Okay, this number is 400 here, this number is 600. After marking that point, just connect it with a straight line. I will explain why it is a straight line, but just draw first a straight line. Connect both points with a straight line. This line is a production possibility frontier, PPF. Production possibility curve है, production possibility frontier. Production possibility frontiers. So given any numerical number, you can determine PPF. Is ये labor requirement given है, ALC और ALW की value given है, you can mark that intercept and just connect it with the straight line. Can you write equation for this line? And what is the slope of this line? Just see this, some technical points. Not required for the answer, but just information के लिए. If I multiply ALC with a quantity of cheese, ALC is what? Unit labor requirement है, एक यूनिट को प्रोड्यूस करने में कितना टाइम लगता है, मल्टीप्लाई कर दिया जितनी क्वांटिटी बनाई है चीज़ की, तो वो टोटल टाइम एलोकेटेड फॉर चीज़ हो जाएगा, और ALW को मल्टीप्लाई कर देंगे QW से तो टाइम एलोकेटेड फॉर वाइन हो गया. इफ आई ऐड दिस टू, that must be less than or equal to the total time available. So less than equal to L. This is equation for this line. On the line के लिए equality आ जाएगा, inside वाले point के लिए less than का sign. Less than equal to L. Less than equal to labor. Clear? And if you know the equation of line, you can also calculate slope of that line. Production possibility frontier का slope PPF. So what will be slope of this line? Just basic form में भी आ रखो, अगर if I have written 400 here and 600 here, slope is perpendicular by base, most easy way. Perpendicular upon base, so 400 upon 600, that will 2 by 3. But that 2 by 3 is also ALC upon ALW. ALC upon ALW is 4 by 6, that is 2 by 3. Slope of this line is ALC upon ALW. Slope of that line is ALC upon ALW. And what does slope of that line measures? First thing, ALC and ALW is a constant number. It is 2 by 3, the constant number, which means slope of the line is constant. So if the slope is constant, the line will be a straight line. Now question is, what does slope of PPF measures? Slope of PPF actually calculates opportunity cost, but opportunity cost of which good? Opportunity cost of that good which you have written on x axis. जब कभी slope आप calculate करो तो it will always measure opportunity cost of that good which you are written on the x axis. So on x axis we have taken cheese. So this is ALC by ALW is opportunity cost of cheese. It will be opportunity cost of cheese. Now interpret it. Slope of line is opportunity cost of cheese. ALC upon ALW is opportunity cost of cheese. And what is the meaning of the term opportunity cost? Opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is always explained in terms of the other good that you sacrifice. So what is opportunity cost of cheese? Opportunity cost of cheese is in terms of sacrifice of wine. So if I say that opportunity cost of cheese is 2 by 3, it means what? Opportunity cost is 2 by 3, it means to produce 1 extra unit of cheese we have to sacrifice To produce 1 extra unit of cheese, we have to sacrifice 2/3 unit of wine. Numerical number easy है. 1 यूनिट चीज प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए हाउ मच टाइम इट टेक्स? तो जस्ट यू हैव टू थिंक इन 4 hours हाउ मेनी क्वांटिटी ऑफ वाइन कैन बी प्रोड्यूस्ड. To produce 1 unit of wine, it takes 6 hours. So in 4 hours, you can produce only 2/3. So opportunity cost of cheese is 2/3. If you take inverse of it, that will calculate opportunity cost for wine हो जाएगा. Just as we have calculated for the home country, similarly we can calculate for the foreign country. So we have the information for opportunity cost of cloth or cheese and wine for home country and foreign country. So once you calculate that opportunity cost for both product, then which country will have comparative advantage? A country is said to be comparative advantage in that line of production for which opportunity cost of good is lower in home country as compared to other country. तो अगर चीज़ का opportunity cost home country में कम है, तो home country will have comparative advantage in producing cheese, and foreign country will have naturally comparative advantage in producing wine. So first we have to write, but if I ask what is the core reason why opportunity cost is different, दो country में opportunity cost different क्यों होते हैं? Opportunity cost ALC by LW से determine हुआ है, and what is ALC and LW? These are numbers of, ये unit labor requirement है. तो unit labor requirement labor की productivity को show करता है. If labor is more productive, in less hour you can produce a quantity. If labor is less productive, you require more time to produce that quantity. So productivity is basically reflected here. Ricardian model में trade arise होता है because labor differ in terms of their productivity. Labor की productivity अलग अलग है अलग अलग country में. So due to difference in the labor productivity, there will be trade. Each theory will highlight one aspect. So Ricardian model highlights that trade arises due to difference in productivity of worker. क्योंकि we have taken only one factor of production here. So first write down the introductory paragraph for Ricardian model. Comparative cost advantage theory. Comparative cost advantage theory has been formulated by Ricardo. Comparative cost advantage theory has been formulated by Ricardo. So this model of international trade, this model of international trade is also referred as 2/2/1 model. Two by 2/1 model. So according to this theory, a country has comparative advantage. A country has comparative advantage. A country has comparative advantage in producing a good. A country has comparative advantage in producing a good if opportunity cost of producing that good, if opportunity cost of producing that good in terms of other good, opportunity cost of producing that good in terms of other good is lower in that country, as compared to other country, is lower in that country as compared to other country. full stop. This approach in which international trade is arising, this approach in which international trade is arising due to difference in productivity of labor, due to difference in productivity of labor, due to difference in productivity of labor is known as a Ricardian model of international trade, is known as a Ricardian model of international trade, a Ricardian model of international trade. Underline the last sentence. This approach in which international trade is arising due to difference in productivity of labor is known as a Ricardian model of international trade. Next paragraph. In this model, PPF is a straight line. In this model, PPF is a straight line due to constant opportunity cost. PPF is a straight line due to constant opportunity cost. Due to constant opportunity cost. Underline that, constant opportunity cost. Slope of PPF measures, opportunity cost. Slope of PPF measures opportunity cost. That is cost of one good in terms of other good. Cost of one good in terms of other good. Cost of one good in terms of other good. Just see this example. Suppose if I give information about home country and foreign country. For home country, ALC is if I write is 6 hour, and for foreign country ALC star is 4 hour. ठीक है, foreign country के लिए जहाँ denote करेंगे वहाँ star लगा दीजिएगा. So if I compare these two number, just by comparing these two number, what we can say, ये यूनिट लेबर रिक्वायरमेंट है. एक यूनिट चीज़ को होम कंट्री में प्रोड्यूस करने में 6 आवर है, फॉरेन कंट्री विल टेक ओनली 4 आवर. सो यू कैन से दैट फॉरेन कंट्री हैज़ absolute cost advantage in producing cheese. Absolute. We are referring only one product here. Second, ALW, if that is a 4 hour, and ALW star, if that number is 1 hour. So in producing wine also, home country is taking more time, foreign country is taking less time. So foreign country has absolute advantage in both line of production. फॉरेन कंट्री के पास क्लॉथ चीज़ और वाइन दोनों को प्रोड्यूस करने का एब्सोल्यूट एडवांटेज है. तो कैन ट्रेड टेक प्लेस, दोनों ही प्रोडक्ट फॉरेन कंट्री कम टाइम में प्रोड्यूस कर सकता है. तो क्या उसके लिए बेनिफिशियल है ट्रेड करना? एब्सोल्यूट कॉस्ट एडवांटेज के बेसिस पे योर आंसर इज नो. कंपैरेटिव कॉस्ट एडवांटेज के बेसिस पे योर आंसर इज यस. स्टिल इट इज बेनिफिशियल. Home country has absolute advantage in both line of production, but it will have comparative advantage in only one line of production. But the comparative advantage is determined by opportunity cost. So if I calculate opportunity cost for this example, then how to calculate opportunity cost? Opportunity cost calculate कर रहे हैं. Opportunity cost for क्लॉथ और चीज़ और वाइन के, अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट फॉर चीज़ in home country, an opportunity cost for wine in home country and foreign country. So what is the opportunity cost here? How to find opportunity cost? ALC by LW. ALC by LW करेंगे तो किसका opportunity cost आएगा? चीज का आ जाएगा 6/4 right here. 6/4. Sorry. वाइन के लिए 4/6. इन फॉरेन कंट्री, फॉरेन कंट्री के लिए ALC स्टार बाई LW स्टार हो जाएगा 4/1. It will be 4/1 and this is 1/4. ठीक है. आपको कंपेयर एक्चुअल में क्या करें, कौन से नंबर कंपेयर करने, मुझे ये देखना है कि चीज को प्रोड्यूस करने का अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट कहाँ पे कम है. दिस प्रोडक्ट पर ही देख लेंगे आप. टू प्रोड्यूस चीज अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट इन होम कंट्री इज 1.5 एंड अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट इन फॉरेन इज 4. So comparative cost advantage for producing cheese lies with home country. So home country will specialize in cheese, and for producing wine, foreign country. और ये ऑटोमेटिकली या नेचुरल है या आउटकम हमेशा होगा. दोनों प्रोडक्ट में दो कंट्री के पास कभी भी कंपैरेटिव कॉस्ट एडवांटेज नहीं हो सकता, बिकॉज हमारा कंसेप्ट इसी फॉर्म में है. वी आर कंपेयरिंग विच टू नंबर. आई हैव रिटन हियर ALC अपॉन ALW, और यहाँ पे कंपेयर कर रखा है ALC, दिस इज ALW बाई ALC. तो अगर आप कोई नंबर कैलकुलेट करके लिखते हो, एनी नंबर, इफ यू हैव रिटन दैट ALC अपॉन ALW, और दूसरे कंट्री के लिए लिखा है ALC स्टार बाई ALW स्टार. So if suppose for any particular number if inequality is this, तो अगर आप इसका इन्वर्स करेंगे तो इनइक्वालिटी बदल जानी है नेचुरल. तो अगर होम कंट्री के पास एक प्रोडक्ट में कंपैरेटिव एडवांटेज होगा तो नेचुरली फॉर द सेकंड प्रोडक्ट फॉरेन कंट्री विल हैव द कंपैरेटिव कॉस्ट एडवांटेज. क्लियर. तो एब्सोल्यूट एडवांटेज इज सेपरेट, कंपैरेटिव एडवांटेज इज सेपरेट. व्हेन वी कंपेयर एब्सोल्यूट वी आर कंपेयरिंग विच नंबर, ALC with ALC star or ALW with ALW star. When we are doing comparative, then we take ratio. So just explain this example first. In the above example, foreign country has, absolute cost advantage. Foreign country has absolute cost advantage. Absolute cost advantage in the production of both goods. Because labor productivity is more in foreign country. Because labor productivity is more in foreign country. Labor productivity is more in foreign country. However, according to comparative cost advantage, comparative cost advantage based on opportunity cost, after comma home country has comparative advantage in Production of cheese. Home country has comparative advantage in production of cheese because opportunity cost of cheese is less in home country. Opportunity cost of cheese is less in home country. On the other hand, foreign country has comparative cost advantage in production of wine as opportunity cost is less in that country. As opportunity cost is less in that country. Opportunity cost is less in that country. See, generally the question is not a numerical in approach, but occasionally this question has been asked, and just see the difference. Read question number 62. They say explain the condition under which complete specialization will be possible for two nations in case of comparative advantage. Just leave that first part for the timing. Suppose productivity per unit of labor for two nations, India and UK, is given as. इंडिया और यूके के लिए इंफॉर्मेशन गिवन है, तो द फर्स्ट इंफॉर्मेशन इज फॉर इंडिया, सेकेंड इंफॉर्मेशन इज फॉर यूके. इट इज weight per man hour, cloth per man hour. Is it same as ALC or ALW or different है? Will mutually beneficial trade be possible for two nation? Trade mutually beneficial होंगे इस information के basis पे. What you have written ALC is the unit labor requirement. एक यूनिट को प्रोड्यूस करने में कितना टाइम लगता है, और यहाँ पे क्या गिवन है? How much quantity you produce in 1 hour. वो information था to produce 1 unit it take how much time, and this information is about in 1 hour how much quantity can be produced. So it is just opposite of that. That ALC was unit labor requirement to produce 1 unit quantity, how much time it will take, and this is how much quantity you produce in 1 labor hour. So if I draw the production possibility frontier for both, see total labor requirement given here, but I can just plot it. You can just mention the year. 2014 का क्वेश्चन है ऑप्शन का. सपोज प्रैक्टिस ये रखे, जो पहला इंफॉर्मेशन गिवन हो, राइट इट ऑन एक्स एक्सिस. So wheat I am taking here and cloth on the vertical axis. So how much quantity of wheat in 1 hour? 6. And how much quantity of cloth in 1 hour? Which means what? Either you can produce 6 unit of wheat or 4 unit of cloth. So I will write here 6 and this is 4. And connected with a straight line. This left side is for India, right side for UK. So for UK it will be 3 wheat and 2 cloth. 3 and 2. It will be 3 here and 2 here. So if you have drawn the PPF, you can calculate opportunity cost. What is slope of this line? Slope for this line will be 4 by 6, that is 2 by 3. So slope here will be 2 by 3. What is this number 2 by 3 measures? 2 by 3 actually measures opportunity cost of opportunity cost of wheat in India. And the slope of the second PPF is also 2 by 3. Slope of second is also 2 by 3, which means opportunity cost of wheat in UK is also 2 by 3. So when opportunity cost is same for both countries, then if opportunity cost is same for both countries, then question is, will mutually beneficial trade is possible? The answer is no. Mutually beneficial trade कब possible होगा? When opportunity costs are different, then also it is beneficial to have trade. If opportunity cost is same, then it is not beneficial to have trade. बस अभी आप वहाँ पे वन लाइन इन्फॉर्मेशन देंगे. सिंस अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट इज सेम, देयरफॉर नो म्यूचुअली बेनिफिशियल ट्रेड इज पॉसिबल. ठीक है, ये क्वेश्चन है इकोनॉमिक सर्विस का है. जस्ट सी दिस क्वेश्चन नंबर 18. Question number 18. The following table provides productivity of two countries, India and Bangladesh, in terms of production of paddy and textile. Since India appears to enjoy more efficiency in production of paddy and textile, do you think that trade is not beneficial between two countries? Justify your answer. न्यूमेरिकल रोल नहीं है, बस न्यूमेरिकल इंफॉर्मेशन गिवन है, मुझे आंसर करना है. सो आउटपुट पर यूनिट ऑफ लेबर गिवन है. इज इट दैट सेम नंबर ALC? नो, ये भी वही है जो वहाँ पूछा गया था, वही है क्वेश्चन यहाँ भी है. ये कह रहा है आउटपुट पर यूनिट ऑफ लेबर. दीज आर नॉट आवर, दीज आर क्वांटिटी दैट कैन बी प्रोड्यूस इन 1 hour. सो फॉर इंडिया यू कैन ड्रॉ द PPF. For Bangladesh you can draw the PPF separately. Information सिर्फ ये बॉक्स का information आप लिख लो रजिस्टर में. Just read this information always carefully, कि whether it is given in terms of hour or whether it is given in terms of quantity. Again, first information on x-axis. Paddy and textile. For India, we will write here 4 and this is 8. Connect 8 and 4. For Bangladesh it will be 1 and 6. 6 और 1 को कनेक्ट करना है. Then always calculate slope. So slope here will be 8 by 4. So this is 8 upon 4, that is 2. And here it is 6 by 1, 6. And slope always calculate what? Opportunity cost for producing paddy. The opportunity cost for producing paddy in India is 2 and in Bangladesh it is 6. So India has comparative advantage in producing paddy. And for other products Bangladesh will have comparative advantage. वहाँ पे आप एक सिर्फ एक टेबल ड्रॉ कर देंगे, अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट का टेबल ड्रॉ कर लेना. अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट का टेबल आपको ड्रॉ करेंगे तो यू हैव टू जस्ट राइट इन दिस फॉर्म अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट, opportunity cost for paddy and textile, और ये इंफॉर्मेशन आप इंडिया और बांग्लादेश के लिए लिख देंगे. ठीक है, वहाँ एक प्रॉपर टेबल क्रिएट कर लेंगे अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट का, और इंडिया के लिए पैडी के लिए लिखना है आपको 2. सो पैडी के लिए अगर 2 लिख रखा है तो सेकेंड प्रोडक्ट के लिए 1/2 हो जाएगा. इधर अगर 6 मार्क कर रखा है तो ये 1/6 हो जाएगा. और फिर प्रोडक्ट वाइज वैल्यू कंपेयर करोगे. डोंट कंपेयर दीज 2 नंबर, प्रोडक्ट वाइज देखना हमेशा. फॉर पैडी इन विच कंट्री अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट इज लेस. So your line of argument will always be very easy. For paddy, opportunity cost in India is less, therefore India has comparative cost advantage in producing paddy, and Bangladesh has comparative cost advantage in producing textile. ठीक है, पूरे पास्ट ईयर क्वेश्चन में ये 2 क्वेश्चन है जिसमें वी कैन से न्यूमेरिकल इंफॉर्मेशन इज गिवन टू यू, जहाँ से आपको कुछ कैलकुलेट करना है. सो ट्रेड थियरीज इज जनरली फॉर डिस्क्रिप्शन. When we talk about the instrument of the trade policy like import tariff, import quota, वहाँ पे calculation भी है, but theories are basically for the description. But one of question जो आ रखा है, but दोनों question similar है. ऑप्शन में जो क्वेश्चन पूछा गया और इकोनॉमिक सर्विस में बिल्कुल सेम है. क्लियर है? तो इंफॉर्मेशन पूछने के यही 2 तरीके. इट कुड बी आइदर गिवन इन टर्म्स ऑफ आवर और इट कुड बी गिवन इन टर्म्स ऑफ क्वांटिटी दैट कैन बी प्रोड्यूस इन 1 hour. कम बैक टू द टॉपिक. We have to elaborate this Ricardian model. So again just focus on home country first. देखिए, for home country we have drawn the production possibility frontier PPF for cheese and wine. See, production possibility curve just indicate what are the possibilities of production. If my question is what economy will actually produce, these are the possibilities of production. What economy will actually produce. Production possibility curve only indicate what economy can produce. These are the possibilities. What will be the actual point of production? Now for determining the actual point of production, just remember that home country has only one factor of production, that is labor, and that labor is free to move between cheese and wine. Labor cannot move from home country to the foreign country. ट्रेड तो सिर्फ गुड्स का होना है. बिटवीन 2 कंट्री देयर विल बी ओनली मूवमेंट ऑफ द गुड्स, बट लेबर इन होम कंट्री इज फ्री टू मूव फ्रॉम चीज टू वाइन. सो नेचुरल क्वेश्चन इज, इफ लेबर इज फ्री टू मूव बिटवीन चीज एंड वाइन, इन विच इंडस्ट्री और सेक्टर लेबर विल गो टू वर्क. दैट डिपेंड अपॉन द वेज. जिस सेक्टर में वेज ज़्यादा मिल रहा होगा, वर्कर विल बी मूविंग टू दैट सेक्टर्स. So then question is how much will be the wage in cheese? How much will be the wage in cheese? We have to determine that wage. I said all old theories assumes perfect competition. Distribution का topic आपने कर लिया है. Distribution topic. In that distribution topic we say that if market is competitive, then workers are paid wage according to their value of marginal product. So under perfect competition assumption, wage will be equal to value of marginal product. So wage equal to value of marginal product. But if I say value of marginal product, that means price multiplied by the marginal product of labor. Price into marginal product of labor. Price of what? Price of the product. Product is here cheese. So I write price of cheese. In place of marginal product of labor, what you can write? What is the meaning of marginal product of labor? Marginal product of labor means how much quantity labor will produce in that extra labor hour. Is it same as ALC or different? अगर मैं कोई एग्जाम्पल यहाँ पे लिख रहा हूँ ALC I said 4 hour, it means what? It takes 4 hours to produce 1 unit. And what is the meaning of marginal product? Meaning of marginal product is how much quantity you can produce in 1 extra hour. So if it takes 4 hours to produce 1 unit, in 1 hour, 1 by 4. But 1 by 4 means 1 by ALC. 1 by 4 is 1 by, so marginal product is not ALC, marginal product is inverse of that, 1 by ALC. So here I write PC into 1 upon ALC, clear? So it could be written directly as PC upon ALC. So this will be the wage in cheese. This will be the wage in cheese. Wage in cheese is equal to PC upon ALC, but actually PC upon ALC indicate what? VMP है, वो VMP है, price upon ALC. Similarly, you can calculate it for other industry, wine. So how much will be the wage in wine? Here also wage will be equal to the VMP. Here also price into marginal product of labor, but not is price of wine. So we'll write PW, and in place of MPL what you will write? 1 upon ALW. So it will be PW upon ALW. That will be wage in wine. ठीक है, यहाँ तक का पॉइंट. इतना डिटेल आपको वहाँ पे इस पे आंसर लिखने से स्पेस नहीं होता, बट वो बेसिक है जिससे आपको रिलेट करना है बस. Wage in cheese will be PC upon ALC and wage in wine will be PW upon ALW. ठीक है. Now I am drawing 3 possibilities. Below that, create 3 different possibilities. If number 1 or A point, if I say that PC upon ALC and PW upon ALW, if PC upon ALC is greater than PW upon ALW, what does it mean? ये वैल्यू है वेज इन चीज और ये वैल्यू है वेज इन wine. So if wage in cheese sector is more than, all worker will go to cheese, economy will produce only cheese and no wine, because to produce you require that labor, and labor is going to cheese sector only. So if first condition is there, in that case country will produce only cheese. Second possibility, if PC upon ALC is less than PW upon ALW, now this means that wage in wine is more as compared to wage in cheese. So all worker will go to wine, and in that case country will produce only wine. So when country can produce both the goods? Country can produce both the goods only when wages in both industries same. So third, if PC upon ALC is equal to PW upon ALW. In that case, economy or country can produce both goods. It can produce both goods. But more useful way in which you can write this information is, same thing is written here. I can write this first equation as PC upon PW. Let's see this information. PC upon PW is greater than ALC upon ALW. PC upon PW is greater than ALC upon ALW. In that case, country produces only चीज. ठीक है, ये इंफॉर्मेशन लिखा है यहाँ पे. PW की वैल्यू आपने यहाँ रख दी कि ALC की वैल्यू यहाँ रखी है. नाउ हाउ टू इंटरप्रेट दिस? व्हाट इज ALC by LW? ALC by LW अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट ऑफ चीज है. एंड व्हाट इज PC by PW? रिलेटिव प्राइस ऑफ चीज है. सो कंट्री विल प्रोड्यूस ओनली चीज इफ relative price of cheese is greater than opportunity cost of producing the cheese. Relative price अगर opportunity cost से ज़्यादा है, then country will produce only that product. I repeat, economy is producing only cheese in which case? If relative price of cheese is greater than opportunity cost of producing that cheese. But ये हमने कहाँ से derive किया है? Derive तो wage से किया directly. These numbers are basically wages, और वो डिटरमाइन करेगा कि लेबर किस इंडस्ट्री में प्रेफर करता है वर्क करना. सो ये PC अपॉन PW इज ग्रेटर देन ALC by W, देन कंट्री विल प्रोड्यूस ओनली चीज. एंड सेकंड केस, PC by PW इज लेस देन ALC by ALW. in that case, country will produce only wine. So if PC upon PW is equal to PC upon PW is equal to ALC upon ALW, in that case country will produce or can produce both goods. Clear? So now one question. If a country is not trading with other country, if a country is not trading with the other country, home country is not trading with the foreign country, if that country is not trading with the other country, then that country must produce both goods on its own. But what is the condition when both goods can be produced? Both goods can be produced only when PC by PW is equal to ALC by W. इसलिए if I ask autarky price, what is meaning of autarky? Autarky means country in isolation, no trade, isolated country, closed economy है. तो if an economy is closed, see if in a closed economy के condition में क्या होना है? Home country will have must produce both goods on its own. Foreign country will also produce both goods on its own. Trade के बाद क्या हो सकता है? Trade के बाद it is possible that home country is producing only cheese, but it is exporting surplus cheese and importing the wine. Foreign country can produce only wine, exporting surplus wine and importing cheese. That can happen when there will be trade. But if they are not trading with each other, then if they are not trading with each other, then economy must produce both goods on its own. But economy can produce both goods on its own only when PC by PW is equal to ALC by W. So if I ask what is the price before trade, before trade price क्या होंगे फिर? Before trade price PC by PW किसके बराबर होगा? बट क्या ये ALC by ALW की वैल्यू दोनों कंट्री का इक्वल है या डिफरेंट है? डिफरेंट है ये नंबर तो. दैट मीन्स ट्रेड से पहले दोनों कंट्री के प्राइस भी क्या होंगे फिर? डिफरेंट होंगे, बिकॉज प्राइस डिटरमाइन हो रहा है ALC by ALW से. ट्रेड के बाद दोनों कंट्री का प्राइस क्या हो जाएगा? कन्वर्ज हो जाएगा. ट्रेड मेनली अराइजेज ड्यू टू डिफरेंस इन द प्राइस. प्राइस डिफरेंस की वजह से ट्रेड अराइज होता है. अगर इंडिया और चाइना दोनों कंट्री में प्रोडक्ट का प्राइस सेम हो then there is no purpose of trade. Trade arises due to difference in prices. But if a country is not trading with the other country, then that country must produce both goods on its own. So that point will be elaborated in the Ricardian model. I said जितने भी models हैं, there are complete chapter for that model. So there are a lot of detail in international economics part. So step wise चलना है. पहले आपने first point explain कर रखा है, वो basic idea explain किया model का. It is a 2 by 2 by 2 model. Then we explain only for how to draw the PPF. So you can draw the PPF, based upon that you can answer the question. जो दो न्यूमेरिकल पेपर के अंदर आ रखे हैं, ऑप्शनल के अंदर और इकोनॉमिक सर्विस के, वो दोनों क्वेश्चन आपने कर लिए सेपरेट इन टर्म्स ऑफ दिस क्वेश्चन. नाउ ट्रेड को अगर थियोरेटिकली आप एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं, सो आई सेड a country will produce only that product. Home country can produce only cheese in which condition? Home country can produce only cheese in the condition where PC by ALC is greater than PW by LW, और जिसे alternate form में आप ये लिखते हैं. ठीक है, so first write up to this, then we will talk about the trade. Remember ये point जो लिख रहे हैं ये अभी सिर्फ home country का है. Similar point you can draw for foreign country, and then we can explain trade between home and foreign country. So right up to this. Next paragraph में. PPF only determines PPF only determines what are the possibilities of production. What are the possibilities of production? What are the possibilities of production? The actual production point, the actual production point, the actual production point, the actual production point is determined by movement of labor, is determined by movement of labor, is determined by movement of labor. Since a Ricardian model is based on the assumption of perfect competition, is based on the assumption of perfect competition, and under perfect competition workers are paid wage equal to value of marginal product, BMP. Workers are paid wage equal to value of marginal product. Therefore, wage in cheese sector or cheese industry, wage in cheese sector will be ये कैलकुलेशन आप शो कर सकते हो, अदरवाइज डायरेक्टली लिखेंगे वेज इन चीज सेक्टर विल बी W इक्वल टू PC बाय ALC. बट हाउ यू गेट दिस, ये नोटिंग साइड में कर लेंगे. वेज इन चीज सेक्टर विल बी PC बाय ALC. तो आपने प्राइस को मल्टीप्लाई किया मार्जिन प्रोडक्ट से. सिमिलरली वेज इन वाइन सेक्टर विल बी PW by ALW. PW by ALW. PW by ALW. Next paragraph. If PC by ALC is greater than PW by ALW, if PC by ALC is greater than PW by ALW, और ऑल्टरनेट वाला फॉर्म सेम पॉइंट में लिखेगा, सेम कंडीशन को आपने यहाँ लिखा, और PC by PW is greater than ALC by LW, or PC by PW is greater than ALC by LW, then home country will produce only cheese. Then home country will produce only cheese. Home country will produce only cheese. However, when, now write in the second page, when PC by ALC is less than PW by LW, PC by ALC is less than PW by ALW, or second case here, or PC by PW is less than ALC by LW, then economy will produce only wine. Then economy will produce only wine. Economy will produce only wine. Full stop. Economy can produce both the goods. Economy can produce both the goods. Economy can produce both the goods only if PC by PW is equal to ALC by ALW is equal to ALC by ALW. Okay, so we have written all three possibilities in that paragraph. Next paragraph. In the absence of trade, a country must produce both goods on its own. In the absence of trade, a country must produce both goods on its own. For that purpose, it is required that relative price of good must be equal to opportunity cost of producing that good. Relative price of good must be equal to opportunity cost of producing that good. However, in the presence of trade, a country may produce only one product. In the presence of trade, a country may produce only one product. ठीक है, अब एक्चुअल में सिचुएशन ये यू कैन कंपेयर दिस एज बिफोर ट्रेड ऑब्वियसली जो प्राइस होगा दैट विल बी ऑलवेज इक्वल टू व्हाट अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट बिकॉज बोथ गुड्स कैन बी प्रोड्यूस ओनली व्हेन प्राइस इज इक्वल टू अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट. सो जस्ट टेक दिस एग्जांपल. इफ आई से दैट बिफोर ट्रेड, so before trade what will be the price in home country? in home country PC upon PW will be equal to ALC upon ALW, and what will be the price in the foreign country? In foreign country, that PC by PW will be equal to ALC star by ALW star. Trade से पहले both country must produce both goods on their own. Both goods can be produced only when price is equal to opportunity cost. Now if I say that ALC upon ALW is less and ALC star by ALW star is more, इस इक्वेशन का मतलब बिफोर ट्रेड price in home country is less and price in foreign country is more. ट्रेड से पहले दोनों इकोनॉमी बहुत कुछ प्रोड्यूस करेंगे, तो बिफोर ट्रेड प्राइस इन होम कंट्री इज लेस एंड प्राइस इन फॉरेन कंट्री इज मोर. सो व्हाट विल हैपन आफ्टर ट्रेड एंड व्हाट विल बी द पैटर्न ऑफ ट्रेड? बता सकते हैं व्हाट इज द पैटर्न ऑफ ट्रेड हियर? होम कंट्री में रिलेटिव प्राइस कम है, फॉरेन कंट्री का रिलेटिव प्राइस ज़्यादा है. ट्रेड से पहले प्राइस से डिफरेंट है. तो द होम कंट्री प्रोड्यूसर ऑफ चीज़ विल थिंक दैट if they will sell the cheese in the foreign country, the relative price is more there. So home country will prefer to export cheese. Home country will prefer to export cheese. As home country will export cheese, supply of cheese in home country will decline, and supply of cheese in foreign country will increase. As supply of cheese in home country will decline, the price of cheese in home country will start rising. So this value will start rising, and in the foreign country it will start declining. और ये चेन कब तक होते रहेंगे? जब तक वो कन्वर्ज नहीं हो जाते. तो after trade prices in both country will converge. Price in both country will converge after that trade. So after trade, the PC by PW will become equal to PC upon PW in the foreign country. दोनों कंट्री के प्राइस सेम हो जाएंगे. दोनों इकोनॉमी के प्राइस. अब आपको सिर्फ ये आर्गुमेंट लास्ट में बताना है कि व्हाट इज द जनरल कंक्लूजन फ्रॉम दिस, विच प्रोडक्ट होम कंट्री हैज एक्सपोर्टेड. होम कंट्री हैज एक्सपोर्टेड चीज बिकॉज पीसी बाय पीडब्ल्यू की जो वैल्यू है वो एएलसी बाय एलडब्ल्यू को डिटरमाइन कर रही है. तो जो रिलेटिव प्राइस ऑफ चीज है वो, दैट रिलेटिव प्राइस ऑफ चीज इज डिफरेंट इन होम कंट्री एंड इन द फॉरेन कंट्री. So due to difference in the relative price, there will be emergence of trade. And which country will specialize in which line of production? A country will specialize in that line of production where the relative price is more as compared to opportunity cost. चीज़ इकोनॉमी तभी प्रोड्यूस करेगा जब चीज़ को प्रोड्यूस करने का अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट कम और उसका प्राइस ज़्यादा हो. This country will produce only cheese in which condition? Only cheese only in that condition where PC by PW is greater as compared to ALC by W. PC by PW की वैल्यू ग्रेटर होगी एज कम्पेयर टू ALC by W. तो आपने अजम्पशन लिया है कि ट्रेड से पहले दोनों कंट्री के प्राइस डिफरेंट है और प्राइस आर डिटरमाइंड बाय ALC by LW, एंड देन वी हैव टेकन एन अजम्पशन कि होम कंट्री का ALC by LW कम है, मतलब रिलेटिव प्राइस होम कंट्री में कम था और फॉरेन कंट्री में ज़्यादा था ट्रेड से पहले. ट्रेड के बाद क्या हो जाएंगे? कन्वर्ज हो जाएंगे. सो ट्रेड विल ऑलवेज लीड टू कन्वर्जेंस ऑफ प्राइस. ट्रेड विल लीड टू कन्वर्जेंस ऑफ प्राइस. यहाँ तक का पॉइंट कंक्लूड कर लो पहले. सपोज दैट relative price of cheese is less in relative price of cheese is less relative price of cheese is less in home country. Relative price of cheese is less in home country and more in foreign country, in that situation foreign country will specialize in In that situation home country आता है. In that situation home country will specialize in cheese. Home country will specialize in cheese and it will export cheese. Home country will specialize in cheese and it will export cheese. Full stop. In fact it will export enough cheese so that relative price get equalized. Relative price get equalized after trade. Relative price get equalized after trade. Full stop. After trade relative price is determined by intersection of world relative supply and world relative demand. World relative supply and world relative demand. Full stop. Determination of equilibrium relative price. Determination of equilibrium relative price will determine pattern of trade. ठीक है, जो पॉइंट आपको फर्दर एक्सप्लेन करना है उसके अंदर ये कि जो सो फार वी हैव सेड दैट ट्रेड से पहले प्राइस अलग है, ट्रेड के बाद वो, बट वो कन्वर्जेंस का पॉइंट कहाँ पे आएगा? For that purpose we will draw the relative supply and relative demand. That means so far we have just stated two things. ALC by ALW की वैल्यू होम कंट्री में कम है और फॉरेन कंट्री में ज़्यादा है, तो प्राइस का जो डिटर्मिनेशन होगा वो इन दोनों पॉइंट्स के बीच कहीं होना है. कन्वर्जेंस विल बी हैपनिंग इन बिटवीन, बट व्हाट विल बी द एक्चुअल पॉइंट? एग्जैक्ट पॉइंट कौन सा होगा? एग्जैक्ट पॉइंट विल बी डिटरमाइंड बाय रिलेटिव सप्लाई एंड रिलेटिव डिमांड इंटरसेक्शन. So what we have to draw here, the relative supply and relative demand. So we will draw the world relative supply which consists of home country and foreign country. So we will draw the relative supply for the world, relative demand for the world, intersection of that will determine the actual relative price after trade. Trade के बाद का वो actual relative price होगा. तो up to this basically we have written the basic for this chapter. Ricardian model का ये बेस है, इसके आगे से आप उसके डिटर्मिनेशन ऑफ प्राइस की बात करेंगे एंड देन द अदर इम्प्लीकेशन. अदर थिंग दैट वी हैव टू कवर इन दिस चैप्टर इज वी विल बी जनरलाइजिंग इट ऑल्सो. जनरलाइजेशन मीन्स द मॉडल आई सेड इट इज़ 2/2/1. 2/2/1 में क्या होता है? अगर दो प्रोडक्ट है, होम कंट्री के पास अगर कंपैरेटिव एडवांटेज फॉर वन लाइन ऑफ प्रोडक्शन, तो नेचुरली सेकंड कंट्री प्रोडक्ट के में सेकंड कंट्री के पास एडवांटेज हो जाएगा. But if I generalize it by saying it is 2/n/1, then home and foreign country producing cheese, wine, cloth, wheat, paddy, multiple product हो गए तो दो प्रोडक्ट में इजी होता है. दो प्रोडक्ट हो गए तो चीज़ का अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट वाइन हो जाएगा, वाइन का अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट चीज़ हो जाएगा. बट अगर मल्टीपल प्रोडक्ट हैं तो चीज़ प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए विल हैव टू सैक्रिफाइस नॉट ओनली वाइन बट ऑल्सो वीट बट ऑल्सो पैडी. सो हाउ टू कैलकुलेट अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट इन दैट केस? दैट इज एन एप्लीकेशन साइट फॉर द रिकार्डियन मॉडल. ट्रेड मतलब कंसेप्ट ऑफ रिकार्डियन मॉडल कैन बी अप्लाइड फॉर more product also, although it is given for two product, but it can be applied for n number of goods also. ठीक है, तो ये पॉइंट और रिलेटिव सप्लाई का पॉइंट क्वेश्चन के फॉर्मेट में रखेगा. एक क्वेश्चन आपका ये Then one more question related to this क्वेश्चन नंबर 16 है. Question number 38. Explain with the help of a diagram how Heberler theory of opportunity cost is an improvement over comparative cost of Ricardo. तो Heberler ने further improvement कर रखा है. So there are certain other points in the same chapter. Mainly concept Ricardian model का, but Heberler has improved upon that content. So this question plus multiple good model and relative supply and relative demand. ठीक है, ये रिमेनिंग पार्ट है चैप्टर नंबर क्रूगमैन वगैरह पढ़ रहे हैं तो इट इज चैप्टर नंबर 3, लेबर प्रोडक्टिविटी एंड कंपैरेटिव कॉस्ट एडवांटेज. सोर्सेज याद रखेंगे दो आपके पास प्राइमरली हैं. यू कैन बैंक ऑन ओनली वन बुक, बट आई विल सजेस्ट व्हेन वी आर डीलिंग विथ टू सेक्शन, आई सेड देयर आर टू पार्ट ऑफ दिस थियरीज, इनफैक्ट टू पार्ट ऑफ द इंटरनेशनल इकोनॉमिक्स. Preferably read theories of international trade from Paul Krugman, and for the BOP part Salvatore BOP और फॉरेक्शन के लिए ज़्यादा सूटेबल बुक है. फॉर theories you can refer to Paul Krugman, although अगर सिंगल बुक रेफर कर रहे हैं you can rely on the Salvatore also, but easier examples are given basically in the Paul Krugman book. In the Salvatore, theories of trade has been explained but a little complicated, but you find a better description for BOP side. So for balance of payment side Salvatore, and this is your Paul Krugman. तो जो स्टडी मटेरियल है उसके अंदर पॉल क्रूगमैन के जो रेलिवेंट चैप्टर है वो इंक्लूडेड है. क्लियर? सो विल कंटिन्यू विद द सेम चैप्टर. जो भी एग्जांपल है आप लिख रहे हैं वो पॉल क्रूगमैन के अकॉर्डिंगली है. ठीक है, तो यहाँ से ये कल कंटिन्यू रहेगा इंटरनेशनल. ठीक है, अभी इंडियन इकॉनमी कंटिन्यू रहेगा आफ्टर दिस.